Welcome. This is Teal from What Would Teal Say Photography. We are on episode 4. I'm excited. I'm truly am. You know, what started as a seed is growing and growing into something just amazing. So let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is mentorship. I cannot stress emphasize enough the importance of mentorship in photography in any realm of life, because the skill sets that you get from your mentor is something you can use in life. It's not just subject related, but for the sake of conversation, we will use photography. I have a couple of people in my circle that I can trust, and I can get honest critiques and reviews on how my work is going. I have one particular mentor, and I'm going to I'm not going to disclose their name just out of respect and privacy, but one in particular, I remember the first time I showed her my photography, and now she's been shooting for well over 20-30 years, and she looked at my photo and told me, yeah, it's all focus, you got to work on your focusing. And I'm looking at the photo, I'm like, well, it look good to me. But I had to take a step back and realize and really listen to what she was saying. I realized, you know what? Yeah, we need to clean up the work. So I took that advice to heart and just continued to work on my skills, continued to learn the focusing system and the camera that I had at the time, and just learning every aspect of focusing specifically. Because, at that time I was relying on the autofocusing system of the camera that I was using instead of learning how to move my feet, my body, to get the proper composition. So almost a year later, I showed her a new photo. Actually, not so much a new photo. We just happened to go out with a couple of friends, and I just happened to have my camera, and she goes, "Theo, why don't you take a picture of me?" I took a few shots and lined up my shots. It was like a moment of truth. I showed her the photos and I showed her the final edits when it was done. And she goes, "You got it. That's it." And fast forward, she wanted me to take her son's wedding, and I was just blown away by that offer. The fact that she relied on me so much. She knows so many photographers, but she took this young photographer and said, "Hey, I want you to do it," and I did it. That's the importance of mentorship. Mentorship is meant to, one, challenge you, two, correct you when you need to be corrected, and most and foremost, the third, they're lessons, that moment that you have with them, you carry it with you for the rest of your life, and it falls over into many aspects of your life. So for me, the power of focus is real for me. Learned it in photography, but now I apply it to different aspects of my life, just being aware of the details, making the right movement so I can capture the right moment, or have success. That's the importance of it. And and it's a long lasting ever relationship. Your mentor should inspire you. They should be someone you can learn from. Is someone you can call and ask, questions. It is someone you can look at and say, you know what, this person is dope. They inspire me. They have the right attitude. And you know what? And not everyone is your mentor. Not everyone is your mentor. You know, a mentorship is a relationship. You know, there are some people you may meet, you may vibe, and the relationship fizzles out for many different reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong or they did something wrong. It's just not the right fit. You know, and you will know when you have the right mentorship. You know, it's something that is very unique in itself. And it's, like I said, it's a lifelong relationship. You know, it brings me up to my next point in terms of mentorship. Excuse me, is the learning aspect of mentorship, and especially in photography, because there's so much to learn, but they are also a historical reference to some extent. You know, especially if they have a super large knowledge base of the field. You know, I have a couple of mentors that actually went through schooling, specifically for photography. So sometimes if I have a project idea in my mind and I decide, hey, this is what I want to do, you know, this is the focus of the project, and they will tell me, you know, this photographer from these many years ago did something similar to that. You know, so it's a good reference point too, because sometimes, you know, we as humans, we always think we did something first, you know, and the truth is there has been many before us that has done something similar or the same thing of what you're thinking of doing. So it's important to have that reference point so you could, you know, maneuver properly how you want to handle a project. In terms of, you know, reference points, you know, and keep away from, you know, stealing or mimicking someone else's style, because the goal is always to have your own style. But style comes in its own time, in its own format, and it's its own moment, as far as that goes, right? So before we wrap up this video, I was thinking about this topic, and I thought of my very first mentor, you know, outside of my father. And we'll talk about my father in another video. You know, I sprinkle him there and there, but we'll make a very specific video about him. But, you know, my very first mentor was a man by the name of Jim. He was my after-school teacher. You know, I was with Jim since elementary through almost through junior high school. Then high school I kind of phased out, obviously, you know, living life. But I always used to come back and just pick his brains, and you know, and he was the man that introduced me and showed me the love for jazz. You know, to this day I'm a jazz fan because of Jim. You know, it brings that point of the things that they teach you is something you carry for the rest of your life. And and you know, he was my college reference point. You know, he wrote letters on my behalf. You know, even as a kid I always used to, you know, I thought he was so smart. Every question I had, he was able to answer it. So it was important for me to just, you know, always be up to par and impressing him. You know, that was the biggest thing for me. And so every day I would come with a new word, vocabulary word, to use it in a sentence and let him know that I had a new word for the day for him. You know, but he encouraged it. He never saw anything wrong with it. You know, so, but he was such a strong man, and after pretty much once I started college, I lost track. I didn't go back. I always thought of them, and one day I was like, I gotta reach out to him, let him know how I'm doing. And lost all contact. Went back to the after school program. At that point, he had retired, and I reached out to my parents like, I'm looking for him. I wanna talk to him. See how he's doing. Da da da. And a couple of years ago, I ran into one of his old co-workers, and we're talking. And I was like, "How's Jim doing, Mr. Jim? Is he alright?" He was like, "Oh, he passed." Sorry about that. I just had to compose myself, and I think we always keep grieving those that we miss. It's a never-ending thing, but he taught me a lot. He really did, and I'm thankful for him. If you have a mentor, thank him. Thank him for that relationship. And when that time comes, you'll become one. Pass the lessons. Teach it to the next generation. Be great and pass that greatness, and let the next generation be great. This is for you, Jim. Thank you. Peace. All the links and everything, you know where they are. They're right below the video. Follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. To the next one.